devastating firepower, but unpopular among their crews. This was the T-34 Calliope, a tank-mounted multiple rocket launcher used by the United States Army during World War II. The launcher was placed atop the medium tank M4 and fired a barrage of rockets from 60 launch tubes. Its development history started in 1943. The US Navy pioneered the use of rockets to supplement conventional artillery since they could be fired from landing craft and other small vessels that could not carry conventional guns. In 1943, the US Army began examining the use of these rockets as a means to supplement tank guns. The first efforts involved the use of 7.2-inch demolition rockets from the T-40 launcher for breaching seawalls during amphibious landings. This was later standardized as the M17 Whiz-Bang launcher. This device was never very popular since its proximity to the turret roof created problems for the crew entering or escaping from the vehicle, and the rockets had a relatively short range. Being intended for firing from only 100 meters with a maximum range of barely 1,000 meters. After being rejected for use on D-Day in Normandy, and after being used with little success during Operation Anvil in southern France, the Army decided to hand over the surviving launchers to tank battalions in the Italian theater for possible use in the artillery role. The 752nd and 760th Tank Battalions each converted a tank platoon with 4 T-40 Whiz-Bang launchers in the middle of August of 1944. These rocket platoons did not serve with their parent units, but were instead transferred to other tank battalions for operations along the German Gothic Line. They were used in very small numbers and had modest results. In December of 1944, 30 T-40s were put into service on the Ardennes front. A large German counterattack in that sector caused that the T-40s to be redeployed to safer positions. After the battle, the T-40s were redeployed to northern Italy, where they remained for the rest of the war. But the development program for an improved version continued. The US Army had already developed a launcher for the 4.5-inch rocket as the T-34, better known by its nickname as the Calliope. It adopts its name from the musical instrument, also known as the steam organ, which had similar lined pipes. A large support beam bolted to the left and right turret checks supported the weapon, placed 1 meter above the turret. The rack was physically connected to the barrel of the M4's 75mm gun using an arm. This arm was connected to the rack via a pivoting joint and clamped to the gun with a split ring. This allowed the launcher to follow the same elevation and depression arc of +25 to -14 degrees. Each rocket was armed with a 4.5-inch fin-stabilized projectile armed with high explosive that had the same explosive yield as the 105mm howitzer and had a maximum range of 4 kilometers. The rockets were fired electronically using cables that were inserted through the commander's hatch. It is important to note that the 75mm main gun could not be fired once the rocket launcher has been attached. The original plan was to use these for obstacle breaching on D-Day, but this was rejected out of hand since it was felt that the high mounting of the launcher of the M4 tank would make it unstable in landing craft. After D-Day, the 743rd Tank Battalion had 30 Calliope launchers installed for a planned attack by the 30th Infantry Division in December of 1944. However, the German counterattack in the Ardennes preempted this operation and the launchers were discarded without being used. In March of 1945, when Patton's army was pushing through in Western Germany, the launchers did manage to see some usage in armored divisions. In the spring of 1945, they were used by the 2nd, 4th, 6th, 12th, and 14th Armored Divisions. Although seeing limited action, it was effective as a weapon for mainly psychological warfare. The noise generated by these launchers was enough to scare the German soldiers. But in general, the launchers were unpopular with the tank commanders, who simply felt that the artillery missions should be performed by artillery units and not tank units.